Hey guys, I placed an order at Sisley-Paris because they came out with some new products that I was dying to try, and a few of you actually asked me about their new eyeshadow quads. So I did order one of those. I got shade number 1, and they did also come out with a brand new loose powder, which I am so excited to try out. I have a very long, interesting history with their previous version, which we'll talk about, but I did get number 1. I think there's like 4 shades maybe. And then they did also come out with the Phyto 10 Primer Glow. And I think they also have a matte. Of course, I got the glow version. I have very dry skin, if you're unaware. So we're going to start with this product. Those are all the things that I ordered, but I figured I would fill in everything else with all the Sisley products that I have in my collection. So this is going to be like a full face of Sisley. I'm so excited. I have not done this in a while. I love Sisley, as you guys know, their hair care, their skin care, their body care, and their makeup, of course. So I can't wait to get started. We're going to start with this Primer Glow. And I do apologize if I sound a little soft today. I like somehow lost my voice. I don't know what's going on. So I just don't have a lot of like power behind it. Apologies, but hopefully I'll be able to tweak it a little bit when I edit this video. Anyway, here we've got the new Phyto 10 Primer Glow. Here is the squeezy tube, and this is 1 fluid ounce, and they had an instant eclat glow primer. I wonder if they're going to be discontinuing that. I remember always trying that whenever I went to the Sisley counter, and I never like pulled the trigger on that, but I do wonder if this is meant to replace that. It is still on their site, and like I mentioned, they did also come with a matte version when they came out with this. They have a color correcting primer, and then of course they have their double tensor, which is people's like absolute favorite. I think that's become one of Sisley's iconic products. It really helps keep makeup like longer lasting throughout the day. It has this sort of like sticky texture to it that I find a little bit friendlier towards normal like oilier type skin. Not that I feel like it's ever dried out my skin, but I like primers that are like glowy and that help my dry skin out. So I like that primer, but it's never been my favorite. So I'm excited to try this new version. Let's see what the texture looks like. Oh, wow. I was not aware it was going to have such a deep bronzy kind of tint to it. We'll see if it actually shows up on my skin, but that is interesting. I think their previous, well, I'm calling it their previous version, but now I feel like maybe it's something completely different, that Instant Eclat Primer. That one is, if memory serves, that one's just like a white lotion. It comes out of the tube, and when you put it on, there's no tint to it at all. Yeah, and there are no like shade options or anything for this, so I think the glow just is meant to have this kind of slightly bronzy, glowy tint to it. Anyway, let me get this on my skin and see what it looks like. Oh, it feels really nice. And I'm putting this on over my, regular daytime skincare and some SPF. Ooh, it is quite glowy. And the texture is really nice. I'm like really rubbing it into my skin and nothing is like kind of balling up from my skincare underneath. I did just put it on, so that was kind of a concern of mine, but no pore interaction there. Really pretty. Really, really pretty. Okay. And it has a really, like slightly thick kind of texture. Like it's not thin. It doesn't like thin out when you start working it into the skin. Like a lot of moisturizers or a lot of primers, I find like when your skin starts to warm it up, it kind of thins out a little bit. It starts to feel like it's absorbing pretty quickly. This is not at all. This is not at all. This is actually like a nice coating, if you will. A nice coating of primer on my skin. Really smoothing. Really, really smoothing. Okay. Really nice. I wonder if this is something I could wear alone. There's like no coverage at all. And maybe a little bit of like filtering and smoothing, but yeah, I think I'd still want to add like a foundation or at least like spot conceal or whatever. Yeah, I would definitely say dry skin friendly for sure. So that's the new Phyto 10 Primer in Glow. Okay, so for foundation, I actually only have 1 Sisley foundation left in my collection. I did a major declutter, you guys probably watched, during Mishmas last year, and I think I got rid of any sort of like remaining Sisley foundations that I had except for this one because they were just old. They were just really, really old. And I was just looking on the site because I was kind of thinking to myself, like, what's like left in their lineup, and they have 6 foundations. And I will say here, and pardon me, I'm just sort of taking a walk down memory lane here. My favorite Sisley foundation was that tinted SPF. Do you guys remember that? It came in their like SPF line, so it had like a bronze tube, and I think they had 4 shades, and it was this creamy, delectable foundation. I just loved it. It had like a really decent amount of coverage, but it just looked so creamy on the skin. I loved it, and they discontinued it. They discontinued it. The nerve. Sisley, the nerve. I do hope you guys come back out with that. At least maybe like a new revamped version of it. But this is their Phytotemp Perfection, and I have shade 0N Dawn. I do find it interesting that Sisley foundations, I think, run like towards the center. So they don't have like really, really light shades, and they don't have really, really deep shades. This one does have 29 shades, so I do wonder if they kind of expanded their shade range. Let me just go to the, oh yeah, they did expand their shade range because they now have a 0, 0, 0, 3 zeros, and snow. And then they do have, what's their deepest shade? Their deepest shade is 8N Espresso. 29 shades, $130 for this bottle. And again, I have 0N Dawn. And this is a mattifying, transfer-proof, high-coverage foundation powered by the Ideal Skin Complex to improve skin quality over time. Now, I have a very love-hate relationship with Sisley foundations. This one, they did send to me. Thank you so much to Sisley, but not one of my favorites. They also have a Phyto Hydra Tent. That's the one that comes in a tube. That one sounds like it would be great for me, but that one did not work out for my skin. It like broke up strangely. I remember very clearly, like around the tip of my nose. So it was okay, but it wasn't great. And then they have the Sisley Latent, which is their foundation as part of their Sisley line, their anti-aging line. That one I really like. I just haven't had it in my collection for a while. I feel like I like other foundations a lot more. So when I purchased it, I remember liking it, but I never reached for it. And then they have their Cushion foundation, which is probably my favorite in their current lineup. They have also their Ultra Eclat. That's the one with the zebra top. That one I found to be very, very long lasting. But it just, I remember thinking maybe it like just didn't do that much for my skin. Like it was okay. That one was okay. And then they have the Phyto 10 Nude Second Skin Skincare Foundation. That one comes in like a plastic kind of squeezy bottle. And to be perfectly honest, I don't remember my thoughts on that. I just remember that I thought, again, that it was okay. So yeah, I have this like interesting relationship with Sisley foundations because I love, love, love most of their things. So I find it very interesting. Anyway, we're going to give this one another shot today. I'm just going to shake it up for good measure. There's the texture. And I'm just going to use this Hourglass. I think this is their Vanish foundation brush. And apply this. Is this the right shade for me? I think so. Yeah, I find the tints to the Sisley foundations, they run like a little bit yellow and a little bit warmer. And this one is supposed to be neutral, but I find that it's a little, like a teensy bit yellow leaning. I'm just putting it on half of my face so you guys can see. And what I find very interesting is that glow primer. Like I said, it was like kind of dense and it was just kind of sitting on my skin. And I thought, I wonder if it's going to like kind of interfere with the foundation. Not at all. This went right on top of it. Yeah, this foundation is definitely mattifying. I'm glad I put that glow primer down because I feel like for, you know, my skin type and my taste, I see a little bit of that glow coming through, which is great. It's great. All right, let's finish this off. I think I need a little bit more. Finish off my forehead here. And can you see how it looks a little bit yellow leaning compared to my neck? But the like the lightness is correct, I would say, if you want to match it to my neck. I tend to go like a little bit deeper than my neck because I think naturally your neck is just always going to be paler than your face. But I know a lot of people like to match their foundation to their neck, and this would be the match. I feel like I look so pale right now. So pale. Okay, so that is the Phyto Tint foundation. We are definitely going to be bringing some color back. I've got my favorite Sisley bronzer here. I am going to forego concealer because this does have pretty decent coverage, but I did pull out their eye concealer with botanical extracts. This one is another one of their iconic products. It's got that metal tip. This is a really high coverage concealer, and I would say this shade number 1, it's very peachy, so I feel like there's a little bit of correction in there too if you have like veiny, purpley, bluish under eyes. This is absolutely fantastic, but I'm going to forego that today because I don't think I need it necessarily. And I wanted to go in with this loose powder. Now, I will preface all of this by saying their previous version, the one with the black top that lifted up, I don't know if this is, oh no, this looks different. Yeah, this has a gold top, and it doesn't look like it's got that nice packaging from their previous version. So the black top, it like lifted up, and then the powder puff was in there instead of screwing the whole thing off. I really liked that packaging. Anyway, I remember when I first got that Sisley powder, I was so excited to use it. I had heard really, really good things, and it was really micro glittery, and I like didn't know what to do with myself. I like put it on and I felt like I looked crazy, and I was like, what is going on with this powder? And I don't know, maybe around the same time I had learned properly how to use the Guerlain Meteorites, at least to my liking, as a finishing powder. And I used the Sonia G, you know, the flat top kabuki brush that I love, and really buffed it in, and it was gorgeous. And I talk about that all the time, how it would leave my skin just looking like marble, like it was polished. And that's how I would use the Sisley loose powder. I would do the same thing. I would use that same Sonia G brush, and I would use it as a last step, as a finishing powder, and really buff it in. And I felt like the chunkier micro glitters just sort of fell away, and I left kind of like polishing my skin with the rest of the powder. And it was great. It was really great. I still prefer the Guerlain Meteorites to the Sisley, but I felt like that was really the only way that I could use that powder. Anyway, I had that powder for so many years. I finally decluttered it, and now they've come out with a new powder. Now, I do see on their site that what I'm calling their previous powder is still there. So I don't know if they're holding on to that for a little while, or if this is meant to be different, but this is a perfecting moisturizing loose powder. The other one is called an ultralight loose powder. So this one does have 4 shades. There is number 1, which is shimmer, and I got shimmer. They're calling it like a universal shade. I got shimmer because I really did want to, at least in my mind, compare it to this other version. So I did get shimmer, but then number 2 is translucent beige. Number 3 is rosy rose, which may be like, if I like this powder, I may get that one too, just to kind of use as a brightening powder. And then number 4 is deep dark. So let's try out this shimmer powder. I think what I'm going to do is apply it just on like one half of my face. And because this is mattifying, I'm really going to be careful to not put too much of this powder on because I don't want to look too dry. So it does come with this powder puff, and it does have sifter holes in the shape of the Sisley S. Can you guys see that? Sorry, that's really hard to get across, but it's there. There are definitely micro glitters in here. That's a very heavy swatch. And I hope you can see those glitters coming through. I wonder if I should use this as a finishing powder. Well, let's put it on half of my face. Let's see. And then maybe what I can do is at the end of this look, I'll use that as a finishing powder on the other side of my face. So when it comes to setting powder, which is powder that I like to use after I put down like all of my cream products or whatever, and I want to set everything down, I don't use the Sonia G flat top brush. I use like a big fluffy brush because I just want to just sort of apply it in a really, really light way, and I want to make sure it's very even and all of that, and I don't want to like work it in too much because I am working powder over cream products theoretically, so I don't want to do that buffing motion because I feel like that's going to disturb too much. So I like to use a big fluffy brush. I just grabbed the La Mer brush. I do like to pounce. Let me knock some more of that off. That's a lot of powder. I do like to pounce first. I am not a fan, at least not over this foundation. I'm gonna zoom in here. As a setting powder, I'm not a fan. It's sort of like sitting in my pores here. And this shimmer is a little too shimmery for me in terms of a setting powder. And setting powder for me, I just want it to be like invisible. I just want it to set down and like possibly blur, filter a little bit, but I want it to be absolutely invisible in terms of any kind of finish or any kind of coverage or anything like that. So this for me is a no-go in terms of a setting powder. I really hope you guys can see this whole area. It's kind of like picking up my pores here. I never really use a powder puff, but I'm gonna try and kind of press this powder in. Sometimes powder behaves better that way. And see if that helps with the pore situation. What is that? Oh, it's actually a piece of cotton from the puff. Well, that's not great. Okay, that's gone now. It looks a little bit better. It looks a little bit better when I press it in like that. So yeah, if you're gonna use this powder, I would say don't brush it over. Kind of do that press and roll situation. Have you guys done that? You like dip it into the powder and you press it and roll it off of your skin. I feel like this powder is probably, if you're gonna use it as setting powder, it's probably better that way. Maybe it's a matter of it being a learning curve, but we are gonna come back to that and use it as finishing powder. So let's move on to bronzer. I'm like dying to get some bronzer on my face because I feel like I look like a ghost. I did pull out the Phyto Touch, the Sun Glow Bronzing Gel Powder. This is probably the first Sisley product I ever purchased, and most definitely the very first gel powder, like baked product that I ever purchased. I'm going to use the rephr 22 brush and pick up, you definitely need a dense kind of brush to pick up this product. But it goes on beautifully. Just melts right onto your skin. Okay, how's that? Get it in my hairline there. Okay, a little bit of bronzer. And then for blush, I do have the Phyto blush in number 4. This is the Golden Rose. This is my favorite one of their blushes. So I'm just gonna throw a little bit of this on. I've got my A507 brush from BK Beauty. I did also pull out these. They're like highlighting blushes. This is their Orchid blushes. I love these, but I use these much more often than the Phyto blushes, so I wanted to use those today. And then part of the Phyto blush line, they do have a highlighter. This is number 6 Shimmer. So let me apply some of this. I'm gonna use my rephr number 4 brush. This is such a pretty highlight. Such a good tone. Okay, for brows, I'm going to use the Phyto Sourcil. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, most likely not. And I do have it in the shade number 2. This has a nice, cool, almost grayish tone. I really, really like the tone. And the formula of this is not my favorite. It's a little bit on the wetter side, which I'm not a fan of when it comes to brow stuff. I just feel like it's so messy. And you can just screw it up so easily, like you have to be very careful. So anyway, I just scraped off as much of the product as I could and just brushing it in gently. It's like, okay, I feel like I'm there. I don't need to really add much more, maybe the front here. So yeah, I just wish they made their brow stuff a little bit denser. And that goes for their brow pencil too, which I had for a long time. And it was such a soft pencil that you could very easily draw like very strong strokes. And I was like, ooh, this is, I have to be too careful, and I'm not a careful person. So anyway, that is the brow gel. Okay, next let's jump over to the eye palette. So I did get shade number 1, which is Tender Toffee. And they only have one other shade or color story, and it is more, I guess, pinky, I guess you could say. It is called Bois de Rose. So rosewood, I guess. I decided to go for this kind of brownish toned one, this Tender Toffee. But here is a close look at the packaging. How beautiful. You guys know I'm a sucker for animal print, and I do love that Sisley uses zebra print. And this packaging is very nice. It's not especially heavy or anything, but it doesn't feel, I don't feel like it feels cheap or anything. And here is the quad. Isn't that pretty? It does come with this little dual-ended brush. It did also have this little velvet pouch. And this quad is $125, which, I mean, it's not inexpensive by any means, but it feels like a deal after reviewing the Louis Vuitton. The Louis Vuitton $250. Yeah, $250 eyeshadow quad. Anyway, let me do some swatches of these 4 shades. These feel very creamy, and I'm so happy about it because I remember like finger swatching the Louis Vuitton ones, and I was like, these feel okay. They didn't feel especially special, but these actually feel almost creamy. So those are the 4 shades. This top shade is very faint. Okay, so there are obviously 4 shades, 3 finishes in here: glitter, satin, or matte. So I believe this one is glitter, this one is satin, and these 2 are matte shades. So from the site, it says the fine silky touch texture glides on. It definitely has a silky kind of feeling, transforming from powder to cream on contact with the eyelid. Interesting. Yeah, like I said, it definitely has like a really like interesting creamy texture. So that's fun. And again, more than I can say for the LV eyeshadows. Those eyeshadows, you know, they were nice. I think they performed well. I think the standout quality for the LV, sorry, this is turning into an LV review. The LV eyeshadows is that they're very long lasting, very, very long lasting. So there is that at least. Okay, let's get these on my eyes. Oh, sorry, I didn't finish reading the description here. It says, it melts instantly, becoming almost imperceptible, creating a silky smooth film with no clumping or flaking for a luminous finish that reduces the appearance of fine lines. Okay, let's give it a shot. I guess I'll start with the lighter matte shade, although that feels deep for me. That feels deep to start with, but let's try it. I'm using my rephr 01 Max brush. It does pick up very, very easily. That was 1 tap into the pan. I do like this mirror. It's a nice size mirror. I'll just start slowly on the outer corner here. Ooh, these do blend nicely. Very nice soft application. I'm going to use this BK Beauty 504 brush because as I get older, I'm getting this little hooded lid situation here, and it's hard to get this one spot. And these BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy brushes are meant for hooded eyes, and this gets that one spot beautifully. Okay, I just wiped off this same brush, and I'm going to go into this satin shade up here, and I'm going to just apply along the lash line and build that up slowly. Why am I only doing one eye at a time? Okay, sorry, I'll have to catch up on that eye. I will say, for shadows that are described to go from powder to cream, I feel like they feel that way, but they still behave like powder shadows. Because sometimes, as you guys know, I struggle with cream shadows. They can, you know, and a powder to cream is not going to be the same as a full-on cream shadow, but sometimes it like rolls or picks up on one another. It doesn't play nicely with other things. It gets blotchy, it sets down too quickly, you know, all those things. So I'm not experiencing that with these shadows at all. So that description of them, I think, is just in terms of like texture, but in terms of behavior, I feel like these behave like powder shadows. That's a really pretty shade. I like that one. This shade right up here. Okay, I'm grabbing my Nikki LaRose N12 brush. This is a really dense brush. It's more like a smudger brush, but I want to try and build this glitter shade here because I think it's meant to be a top coat, but I want to see. I want to see if I can build it up and use it as like a brightening shade here. Oh yeah, most definitely. It's swatched so lightly I was afraid, but no, that looks good. That looks really good, but I do think you need a dense brush. Okay, let me catch up on this eye. I don't know why I went like one at a time with my eyes here. These shadows are really easy to manage. I hope that makes sense. I feel like they are easy to blend out. They apply easily. Like there's no surprise in terms of the level of pigmentation. I don't see any fallout, and I'm not even being that careful. I don't see any fallout, and they're just like really nice to work with. Okay, lastly, I want to use this matte brown shadow as a liner. So I'm going to use the N11 brush, the Nikki LaRose BK Beauty brush, and just shimmy that into this pan. Ooh, there's definitely fallout there. That's definitely the danger of using shadow with like a dense brush like this for eyeliner. I think I'll use a pencil brush instead. So this is the number 3 from rephr. And a little fallout, not as much as before. And let me add just a little bit of this to my lower lash line. And I'm just going to take this rephr number 32 brush. It's like an angled flat top eyeshadow brush. It's very interesting, but I like using this to like blend out edges when I'm all done. Just softens it up a little bit, almost like a blotter. All right, I really like that eyeshadow palette, and I really like the look that I ended up with. Very nice, very nice. Okay, let's keep going. Those were all of the new things that I got from Sisley. We still have to use that powder as a finishing powder, but I'm just gonna finish up with some mascara and lips. The one mascara I have from Sisley is their So Intense, and this is the one that has that really interesting wand. It almost looks like it's meant for brows. And this is another thing from Sisley is I have a love-hate. I generally don't like their mascaras because they're on the wetter side. They kind of tend to smudge on me. And this one was actually not bad. Let's brush some on. I really like this applicator. It's great for my puny lashes. I realized after all these years, I've realized that the typical mascara wand, you know, is meant for people with like longer lashes so they can roll it through. I don't make it that far. Like my lashes are so short. That's why I really like these kinds of applicators, or that Surratt Noir lash tint that doesn't even have any bristles. It's just that like wand. I love that. Again, I digress. Let's get some lips on me. So I did pull out the Sisley Lafito Rouge lipsticks. So I do love these lipsticks. These were probably one of the first matte lipsticks that came out that I felt like they were really using some innovative technology in terms of having a matte appearance, but not a really dry matte feeling. So I do have a fondness for these. I do have beige Manhattan here. I've gotten rid of a lot of the older shades that I got when they first came out because, again, they were just way too old. But this is number 15. I do happen to like this shade a lot. It's a nice kind of neutral, lightish nude pink. So definitely matte in appearance, right? But it doesn't look drying. My lips aren't like puckering, puckering under the dryness. It actually feels really, really comfortable on the lips. So yeah, I have a real fondness for these Lafito Rouge lipsticks. And you guys know I love their Lafito twists, those like pencils. Those are really great. I also love the Lafito Shine, is it? Those are really great. They're like a tinted balm, if you will. And they also have these glosses. So I thought I would throw this gloss on top. This is shade number 7. It has a little bit of a shimmer to it. So I'm just gonna tap that on top and just add a little bit of juiciness to that matte lip. All right, now for Sonia G's Buffer Pro with this new powder. So I used it as setting powder on this side. I'm gonna use it as finishing powder on this side. So what I like to do is pick up some of the powder with the brush, and I just kind of pounce it in the product that I've poured out into the cap. And I don't want, I don't want a ton. I don't need a ton. So I've got a little bit of a coating there, and I just like to press it everywhere first, And then I like to buff. So in circular motions, and I'm not pressing too hard, I am like literally polishing up my face. Okay, now let's see how it looks. Much better. Much, much better. I really like it as a finishing powder. Let's see if you can see the finish there. Am I tilting my head back enough? It looks really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. And since Guerlain has changed their meteorites formula, the fragrance is different. I feel like it's really kind of shiny now. Instead of just glowy, it's really shiny. This could be my new favorite finishing powder. This has a really nice glow. And I don't see those micro glitters in there that I saw in my swatch. I think the buffing, yeah, really, really helps. Okay, well, I really like these new products. I really like this glow primer. I think if you have dry skin, you're gonna really like the kind of thick, luxurious texture that this has. The eyeshadows, gorgeous. Really easy to use. Like I was saying, just very manageable eyeshadows, like not complicated, not hard to use. The pigmentation is like spot on. They blend out beautifully. They apply nicely, no surprises. Love that. And then this powder, great for finishing, and you definitely want to like buff it out. Otherwise, I feel like the micro glitters are a little bit too, unless you like that, but I feel like if you're not looking for the micro glitters, a little bit of buffing will help kind of like shoo those away. And then you're left with a really pretty glow. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.